Yes, my name is Bench and welcome to our first StarMade Logic Masterclass, a new series where we demystify the theory behind systems and concepts found in StarMade and explain why things do what they do. We'll kick things off with some StarMade Logic basics, starting with the activation module. But first, a couple of key things to understand when we're talking about logic. This applies to all logic in StarMade, and you'll find it will even apply to other games like Minecraft as well. Within all logic systems we deal with two states. We can call them many things: on and off, high and low, 1 and 0, yes and no, active and inactive, but regardless of what we call them, we're always going to be swapping between these two states. A light switch can be switched on and off. A question can be answered yes and no. A system can be active or inactive. So you can see how logic can apply itself to all these different uses. Now, each logic block is always outputting one of these states. Changing an input on the logic block can influence whether it holds that state that it's on or change to the other state. Take the light switch. It can output off, but when I switch it on, it outputs on, and anything it's connected to will now receive on. The state of each logic block is indicated by its color. If it's orange, it's inactive or off. If it's blue, then it's active or on. The output of a block can then be connected to the input of countless other blocks, and in doing so, influence what those blocks output. So let's look specifically at the activation module. They've previously been referred to as switches, toggles, buttons or levers, and while they seem quite simple, they're actually quite powerful. So let's start from where they're simple and go from there. An activation module works somewhat like our light switch from earlier. We can manually switch it on and off, and it will output on and off accordingly. But unlike a light switch, it doesn't need to be provided electricity or anything like that. You could almost say it has its own internal battery, and so when switching it on, it sends an on state to everything else, regardless of what it's connected to. Here's where an activation module gets interesting. If you connect logic blocks to an activation module, and any of them change their state, the activation module will also change to that state. What an activation module does is it remembers the state of the very last input it was given, and it will stay like that. If I just switch it on manually now, it will switch states, but if I switch, say, this other activation module over here, it will mirror what it is doing. This can be very useful in advanced circuits, but it's also something to remember when you're building doors or the like, as it won't switch itself off after a time. If we just keep these two activation modules and connect them in a loop, we can make the two activation modules continuously mirror each other. If I switch any of them on, they both go on, and if I switch any of them off, they both go off. This is because the one you manually changed sends its state to the other module, and then that one sends it back to the one you switched. But since it's already on that state, it doesn't change, and the loop stops. So that's activation modules. They not only change when pressed, but can also be influenced by other logic blocks connected to them. In the next masterclass, we'll look at the not, or, and blocks and see how they act and react when used with other logic blocks. Have you got any questions about this episode? Leave them in the comments section below and we'll answer them. Remember to subscribe for more StarMade videos, and I'll see you next time.